The latest reports coming out of Manchester point to a period of quiet restructuring within the club. Manchester City, always strategic in its decisions, is beginning to show signs of a new cycle. While the spotlight remains fixed on Erling Haaland and Phil Foden, there are stories unfolding behind the scenes that could reshape the team's future, and that's what we're going to talk about. The first major revelation comes from a player who has experienced everything in the sky blue shirt, Manuel Akanji. The Swiss defender, a key figure during the treble-winning season, now appears ready to follow a different path. After being loaned to Inter Milan, Akanji has rediscovered the prominence he had lost at the Etihad. In Milan, he's an undisputed starter, praised by Christian Chivu and considered one of the defensive pillars of the team. During an interview after Inter's 2-1 win over Hellas Verona, the Swiss was direct when asked about his future. "At the moment, I'm focused on doing my best. At the end of the season, we'll see what happens," he said, with a smile that seemed to confirm what many already suspected: his permanent stay in Italy. Akanji has strong reasons to seek new horizons. At City, the competition for places has turned into a battle among giants. Ruben Dias, Gvardiol, Ake, Stones, and even the young Kusanov form an almost impenetrable defensive line. The defender knows that despite the respect he enjoys within the squad, his playing time would only become increasingly limited. Moreover, the 2026 World Cup is approaching, and Akanji wants to arrive in top competitive shape. Playing in Serie A offers him the chance to face different challenges and prove that he still belongs at the top of European football. Inter, meanwhile, is experiencing a defensive shortage and sees the Swiss as a reliable, experienced name. Everything points to a permanent deal soon. For City supporters, it's a symbolic loss. Akanji represented stability amid chaos, a player who rarely failed and always seemed to be in the right place. But modern football doesn't forgive stagnation. Pep Guardiola, as always, looks ahead, and what lies ahead promises to be even more intriguing. While Akanji shines in Italy, in Manchester, a new star is rising fast. Jeremy Doku, the young Belgian who arrived surrounded by doubts, has just produced one of his most outstanding performances in a City shirt. The 4-1 victory over Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League was not just another display of dominance, it was the match in which Doku showed the world he belongs at the highest level. The numbers don't lie. He won 10 of 15 individual duels, delivered a perfect assist for Haaland, and was the team's main attacking engine. Dortmund simply had no answer for his pace and unpredictability. Every time he received the ball, something happened. Guardiola had already said in interviews that when Doku enters the box one-on-one, nobody can stop him. And for the first time, it seems the player himself has started to believe it. His confidence is overflowing, and the fans can sense that something special is emerging. Haaland and Foden may remain City's most recognizable faces, but Doku brings a different energy, a sort of creative chaos, reminiscent of the best street football. He's the kind of player who changes the rhythm of a match with a single burst of acceleration. At 22, he already has 4 goals and 5 assists this season. Impressive numbers considering his previous injury spells. Now fully fit, the Belgian seems determined to prove he's much more than a quick dribbler. He wants to be decisive. In the stands, the crowd rises to applaud him. On social media, many are already calling him world-class. Perhaps it's too soon for that crown, but one thing is clear. Doku is transforming the way City attacks. His partnership with Foden and Haaland is beginning to take shape as Europe's next feared trio. With Liverpool on the horizon, expectations are high that Doku will start again. Guardiola knows he needs pace and improvisation against compact defenses, and no one provides that better than the Belgian. If he repeats his Dortmund performance, the Etihad could witness another unforgettable night. But City's focus isn't limited to the pitch. Behind the scenes, the club continues to operate with surgical precision in the transfer market. The next generations of talent are being scouted closely, and this time, the spotlight has turned to a surprising name from Catalonia, Diarra Fernandez, a 17-year-old midfield prodigy from Barcelona. According to reports from the Spanish press, Manchester City made a serious attempt to sign Fernandes during the last transfer window. The plan was clear: offer a financially superior contract and ensure the youngster joined the City Football Group system. The proposal was so convincing that Barcelona was forced to react quickly, promoting the teenager to the first team to avoid losing him. Fernandez's agent received offers from several clubs, but City stood out due to its structure and the promise of development under Pep Guardiola. Even so, Barcelona couldn't afford to lose another academy gem, especially amid financial strain. The Catalan club therefore rushed to negotiate a contract renewal until 2026. The midfielder had already made an excellent impression during preseason, even providing a decisive assist in a Champions League match under Hansi Flick. Everything suggests his future will be bright, but the temptation of playing under Guardiola in an offensively minded system still lingers. City continues to monitor the situation closely. The club's philosophy is clear: invest in youth to ensure long-term sustainability. In recent years, City has built one of the world's most extensive scouting networks, with talent spotters operating across Spain, Portugal, South America, and Africa. The idea is to identify players before they hit the radar of the major clubs. And Fernandes isn't the only one attracting attention. Joan Duro, an attacking midfielder from Valencia, is also back on the radar. At 17, Duro is regarded as one of the most promising young talents in Spanish football. Captain of the under-19 side, he combines refined technique with an exceptional understanding of the game for his age. Pep and his coaching team have been following his progress closely. They believe Duro possesses the ideal profile for City's possession-based, rotational style. The problem is that Valencia knows exactly what it has and has already renewed his contract until 2027. Even so, the English side hasn't given up. For now, any potential move will have to wait. As the youngster has not yet turned 18, FIFA regulations prevent international transfers. But contact has been established, and the relationship between the clubs could help facilitate something in the future. The interest in Duro and Fernandes reveals a clear trend. Manchester City is planning its future meticulously. Guardiola, even with a star-studded squad, never stops thinking about the next generation. The club wants to ensure that when the current cycle ends, the transition will be seamless and without a sharp decline in performance. Meanwhile, supporters watch with curiosity and a touch of nostalgia. City has become an almost perfect machine, but the heart of football still beats in the human stories behind the headlines. Akanji searching for minutes, Doku becoming a star, youngsters like Fernandes and Duro dreaming of the elite. And it's this balance between planning and passion that keeps Manchester City at the top. A club that doesn't wait for the future, it builds it. Today's City is the result of a kind of sporting engineering that few clubs have managed to replicate. Guardiola and the board understood from the very beginning that winning once is not enough. True power lies in keeping the machine running when its parts wear out. And now, with a consolidated core and emerging talents from every side, Manchester is once again preparing for what could be its third great revolution under the Spanish manager's command. The Akanji case illustrates this clearly. He was brought in at a time of need, became essential, and now makes room for the next generation. Pep has always said that a champion team must be rebuilt while it is still winning. That mindset is what makes City seem eternally in motion. There is no attachment, only purpose. Akanji has completed his cycle, and now another name will take his place. Most likely someone the club has been monitoring for months, or even years. While the defense adjusts, the attack reinvents itself. The emergence of Doku is no coincidence. Guardiola always seeks contrast within his squad. If Haaland represents raw power and efficiency, Doku brings unpredictability and imbalance. That combination is what makes City so hard to decode. In Manchester, supporters sense something different in the air. There is a feeling of renewal without rupture. The team continues to dominate, but the way it dominates subtly changes each season. Against Dortmund, the evidence was clear. The game no longer revolves around a single center of gravity. The rhythm is dictated by Foden, the explosiveness by Doku, the finishing by Haaland, and the control by Rodri. The collective is the true star. And in this system, where everyone has a defined role, there is room for new talents to fit in. This is where the club's youth recruitment philosophy comes in, one that has been shaping its future for years. Since the City Football Group was created, the goal has always been to build an ecosystem of clubs that act as bridges between potential and stardom. Youngsters like Fernandez and Duro are not mere bets. They are long-term projects. Diarra Fernandez, the Barcelona midfielder City tried to sign, is the kind of player who fits the club's DNA perfectly. Intelligent, dynamic, capable of breaking lines with vertical passes. Guardiola loves midfielders like that, players who think faster than the rest. It is no coincidence that City went after him right after losing several under-23 talents to Girona and Palermo, both part of the same group. This kind of movement shows that City are not thinking only about the next season, but about what comes after 2027, when the current squad will probably undergo a natural transformation. Foden, Haaland, and Doku are expected to be the pillars, but behind them will come names like Fernandez and Duro, prepared to preserve both style and dominance. Joan Duro, meanwhile, embodies the Spanish essence Guardiola values so much: early tactical awareness, spatial control, short passing, and quick vertical progressions. At 17, he already captains Valencia's under-19 side and shows unusual maturity. City know that this profile is becoming rarer, and they are willing to wait as long as it takes to bring him in. At the Etihad offices, planning is precise to the millimeter. No signing is made on impulse. The analytics department cross-references data on performance, age, physical endurance, and tactical potential before any proposal is submitted. And contrary to what many believe, Guardiola plays an active role in those decisions. He wants players who not only fit the system, but challenge it. That was the case with Doku. When the Belgian was signed, many doubted whether he had the tactical discipline to play under Pep. Now he is one of the team's most lethal weapons. This shows that City do not look for finished players. They look for open minds. But the most interesting point is that all these stories, Akanji, Doku, Fernandez, Duro, are part of the same narrative arc, a team learning to reinvent itself while still at the top. Few clubs in history have done this without collapsing. Real Madrid managed it in the 2010s, Bayern Munich to a degree as well, but City are attempting something even more ambitious, maintaining a standard of excellence through cultural continuity. And culture is what Guardiola defends above all else. He speaks little about trophies and much about processes. For him, winning is the consequence of thinking correctly. City have become the embodiment of that philosophy, decisions based on logic, not panic. That is why the club rarely enters bidding wars for big names. They do not buy fame, they buy ideas. While rumors grow about new signings, the City camp remains silent. Silence is the club's most powerful weapon. When nobody speaks, it means something is being built. And the last time the club acted this way, Haaland arrived, and the treble followed. Now there are signs of another movement. Internally, talk has begun about a new midfielder who can share De Bruyne's creative burden. The Belgian, who will be 34 in 2026, will not be able to sustain the team's relentless tempo alone. The goal is to prepare the transition early, ensuring that the aggressive possession style continues to flow without interruption. Fernandez and Duro are candidates for that role, but other names are also under observation. This attention to detail is what sets City apart. While other clubs react to crises, City anticipate them. Akanji's departure, for instance, is not a problem. It is a chance for renewal. The same applies to the arrival of young players who can learn from the veterans while there is still time. In the dressing room, Guardiola follows a simple philosophy. Everyone is replaceable, but no one is irrelevant. This creates a healthy, constant competitiveness. Players like Doku and Foden have thrived in that environment. They know that every training session is an opportunity to redefine their roles, and that spirit is reflected on the pitch. Today's City play with a level of harmony that almost feels artificial. The ball circulation, positional interchanges, and tempo control give the impression that the team plays from memory. But behind it lies obsessive work, daily repetition, and an uncompromising mentality. Fans might not notice, but every sideways pass, every switch of play carries intention. It is the on-field translation of the philosophy that sustains the club off it. Everything has a function, nothing is accidental. Meanwhile, Europe watches. Clubs such as Real Madrid, Bayern, and PSG know that City have become the new benchmark, not just because of wealth, but because of coherence. Money can buy talent, but it cannot buy mentality, and that is exactly what City have built. The next step will be crucial. Pep Guardiola has not yet confirmed how long he will remain in charge, but his influence is already embedded in every layer of the club. Even if he leaves, the system will continue to function because it was designed to outlive its creator. Behind the scenes, City Football Group executives are working to reinforce that structure. The branches in Girona, Palermo, and Montevideo serve as tactical laboratories. Young players are tested, developed, and assessed before any integration into the main squad. This model creates a natural line of succession. Akanji may leave, but another defender with a similar profile will already be in development somewhere in the world. Fernandes may be recruited, and another promising youngster will already be under observation. It is a continuous, self-sustaining cycle. And for the supporters, all this carries a simpler meaning. The promise that Manchester City will remain competitive for many years to come. Every replaced part, every talent unveiled, reinforces the idea that the club does not live by eras, but by continuity. When observing the current Manchester City, it is not difficult to notice that the club is living through a rare transitional moment, still at its peak, yet already building the future. What Guardiola does is almost a kind of spiritual engineering of football. He does not merely teach tactics, he transmits mentality. City's winning culture was not born from slogans or speeches, but from an internal code. A way of thinking that everyone inside the Etihad seems to understand, from the center forward to the last data analyst. This code is what keeps the club stable even when the pieces change. Akanji may leave, but the system absorbs him. Doku may make mistakes, but the structure protects him. City operates like a living organism, where every cell has a specific function. Guardiola has turned the team into a collective decision-making machine. No player is more important than the idea the team represents. That is the fundamental difference between City and most European giants. While other clubs live in short cycles and depend on temporary superstars, Manchester City lives through long processes with deep roots. There is a vision that stretches beyond seasons. Behind the scenes, Guardiola and the football department work with timelines of 5 and even 10 years. What today looks like a simple signing of a 17-year-old is, in fact, part of a plan involving multiple stages: observation, integration, adaptation, and finally, consolidation. This is why the club rarely makes serious mistakes in the market. The case of João Duro exemplifies this patience. He has not even reached adulthood, yet he is already treated internally as a strategic asset. City understands that talent needs time, and time is something they can offer. The same applies to Fernandes, who has become a kind of symbol of this new generation of midfielders shaped for positional play. These two names, together with other young players scouted in South America and Eastern Europe, indicate a clear direction. City wants to create its own ecosystem of creativity. It will not depend on expensive stars, but on talents shaped under the same tactical code. The reflection of this philosophy is already visible on the pitch. The team moves more and more fluidly, almost without fixed hierarchies. Doku and Foden switch positions. Rodri advances as a builder, and even the defenders step into midfield to generate superiority. City plays with elasticity, always adapting to the opponent's nature. That fluidity is what guarantees the longevity of the model. Looking ahead, it is easy to imagine a team where Doku, Foden, and Haaland lead the attack, while Fernandes and Duro command the midfield. The tactical structure would remain intact, only the faces would change. And that is exactly what Guardiola seeks, to create a system that survives time and even his own departure. He knows football is cyclical, that decline is inevitable, but he believes it is possible to slow that decline through intelligence. If talent ages, mentality can be inherited. In the dressing room, there is a symbolic detail that explains this vision. On one of the training center walls is written a simple phrase, "Every pass counts." To outsiders, it may seem like a tactical reminder, but for the players, it is almost a mantra. Guardiola repeats it often. No action is irrelevant. At City, even a sideways pass has purpose, because every movement builds the whole. This obsession with precision has created a generation of players shaped by logic. Doku, who arrived as a chaotic sprinter, learned to think before running. Akanji, who came as a physical defender, learned to start moves like a midfielder. Everyone who passes through City leaves transformed, and that transformation goes beyond the pitch. City has learned to master time and space, but also to master its own narrative. The club knows how to tell its story with composure. There is no panic, no hysteria. Even when rumors of key departures arise, the message is always the same. We are prepared, and indeed they are. The club's future involves an emotional reconfiguration. Guardiola does not just want to win. He wants to leave behind something that keeps winning. That is why there are rumors that the Spaniard has already begun preparing an ideological successor, someone who understands the system, the values, and the logic that sustain modern Manchester City. Among the possible names mentioned behind closed doors are former players and even current assistants. The goal is simple: maintain the line. Guardiola knows his time is not infinite, but he also knows his work can be. He wants City to be remembered as the club that learned to win by thinking. The philosophy also reflects in the behavior of the supporters. The City fan, who once lived anxiously for each title, now lives with calm confidence. There is a sense that the club will always find a way. Even in defeat, the team never appears disorganized. It is a loss within a greater plan. And amid all that rationality, there is room for emotion. The individual stories, like Akanji's, show the human side of this empire. The player who leaves is not discarded. He is celebrated. The one who arrives is received with patience. Guardiola constantly repeats, "Here, everyone learns." This culture of continuous learning is the cement that keeps City standing. The young watch the veterans. The veterans renew themselves by observing the young. It is a continuous flow where experience feeds enthusiasm, and enthusiasm reignites experience. This balance between youth and maturity is the invisible secret behind the club's success. Meanwhile, Europe watches and tries to decipher what makes City seem invincible. But perhaps the secret is as simple as this: they never stop evolving. Even when everything looks perfect, someone at the Etihad is already planning the next step. And so, Manchester City moves forward, with Akanji forging his new path in Italy, Doku turning into a global star, youngsters like Fernandez and Duro dreaming of wearing the sky blue shirt, and Guardiola sketching the map of a future that has already begun. The club that once dreamed of becoming great now dreams of becoming eternal. And perhaps that is the most accurate definition of today's Manchester City. A team that understands true dominance lies not only in winning titles, but in staying relevant when everyone else changes direction. Because City does not chase time, it anticipates it. And when the next chapter is written, whether with new names or familiar faces, one thing will remain the same: the idea. The idea that turns football into art, strategy into emotion, and every pass into a silent statement that perfection is unattainable but always pursued. Manchester City, in the end, is a constant quest for something that may never be fully reached, but that, for as long as it lasts, will continue to redefine what it means to be dominant. And as the lights go out at the Etihad after yet another victory, it becomes clear that this team is not just playing for the present. It is writing the future. And if you have reached this point, it is because you feel the same as every true citizen supporter: pride, admiration, and curiosity about this project that seems endless. Manchester City is writing a new era before our eyes, and the best is yet to come. So before you leave, make sure to hit the like button to support the content and show that you are part of this community that truly lives and breathes football. And if you are not yet subscribed, take the opportunity now. Subscribe to the channel, activate the notification bell, and come along with us to follow every backstage moment, every rumor, and every step of this team that is changing the history of modern football. See you in the next video, Citizen Blue.